되게 안 좋게 돼가지고 그런 부분만 좀 아쉬운 것 같아요. 서머 우승하고 롤드컵 우승까지 노려보겠습니다.
1라운드 때는 좀 기세가 좋았던 것 같은데 2라운드 때 좀 내려앉아서 그게 좀 아쉬웠던 것 같아요.
스프링 때 더 올라갈 수 있었는데 올라가지 못해서 많이 아쉽기도 해요. 서머 시즌에는 그 다전제를 좀 경험해보고 싶어요.
제일 잘하는 탑딜러가 되고 싶다고 약간 많이 말하고 다녔거든요. 좀 더 공격적인 그런 모습을 많이 보여주고 싶은 마음이 좀 많아요. 서머 때는 더 나아진 모습으로 뵙고 싶네요.
제 개인적인 목표는 제일 잘하는 서포터가 되고 싶어요. 마타 선수가 우상인데 이번 롤드컵에 꼭 진출해서 우승하고 세치포 소리를 듣고 싶습니다.
옛날 겨울 되살려서 한번 KT 오게 됐는데 저는 되게 만족스러운 것 같아요. 결승전까지 가볼 수 있는 그런 성적이 나왔으면 좋겠어요.
개인적인 목표는 플레이오프에 진출하는 게 목표고요.
레인저 선수랑 같이 하게 됐는데 강하는 바텀이라는 걸 보여드리고 싶고
스프링 시즌보다 훨씬 더 좋은 경기력으로 찾아뵙도록 하겠습니다.
승강전이라는 게 되게 힘들었었고 쉽지 않았던 시즌이었지 않나.
다시 LCK 무대를 밟게 돼서 너무 행복했어요.
팀이 나를 믿고 따라와 줄 수 있는 약간 그런 선수가 되고 싶어요.
신생 팀답지 않은 경기력으로 좋은 모습 보여드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
Welcome, everybody, to another day of the LCK 2020 Summer. My name is Valdez. With me is LS, a.k.a. Leonard Skinnerd, and we are going to be bringing you some more League of Legends here tonight. We do have a couple of great games today. We got first Damwon up against Sandbox, which we're thinking that Damwon should be favored after Sandbox's original performance on day one. And then we have DRX up against Gen G in their first game.
Yeah, and I mean, Damwon coming into today's match, this is going to be really interesting because there's a lot of question marks surrounding the team, and it has been about a month and a half off, but a lot of their players have been tearing up the solo queue ladder. Canyon, several IDs in the top 50, I believe. Showmaker holding first and second on the ladder as well. Nuggery also very high, and Sandbox really not looking very clean in their previous series against Africa.
Yeah, that was a bit disappointing, you know, coming back from getting, I believe it was 9th place, and they went down to the relegation promotion tournament. They just barely made it out, actually second to Team Dynamics, who did go 4-0, and then in their first game they didn't really show up. So there's a lot to prove for Sandbox, whereas Damwon are coming back on a very strong offseason, I suppose you could say, in between the two splits. So that will be very interesting to see. But guys, we do have a little bit of an update from yesterday. We got told that there was a update on the player of the game votes. So this is actually what it should have been. There was a mistake on one of the graphics. There's the change. One of the analysts said, hey, I didn't vote for that guy. I actually did vote for Viper. Get me in there as well. So it ended up being a 9-12, also highlighting LS's great vote for CAD in that one.
There's going to be an Astronaut Bard giveaway, LPP, North America. It's going to be the chroma and the skin, the same thing that we did on the broadcast before. Unfortunately, LPP only gives me NA codes, so we have NA codes to give away. It'll be at the end of the series. There's going to be a graphic. You'll have time to screenshot, try to put in the code, and get it before other people, and then you'll get one of the best skins in the game. So
yeah, highly recommend that you do jump on that, guys. So make sure you're paying attention at the end of the series. But we do go into the points of the match now. It's reaching the playoffs versus demoted to promotions. A completely inverted path between the two LCK mates. Remember, these two teams came up into the LCK together from Challenger Series, and now Damwon is definitely performing a bit better, whereas Sandbox has fallen off to the side. Can't be the first to take consecutive LS
Sandbox on a mission to flip the tides in their favor up against Damwon, and I think that's going to be a pretty hard ask out of them coming into tonight's series. And Ghost going up against his former team in the first match of the split. Mid King is back, and yeah, obviously this is alluding to the fact that not only are his win rates insane,
Yes.
he is super, super active. He did that mini challenge where he got Challenger playing every champion
Yeah.
at least once with a very high win rate. So that was nice.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I don't know many other players that could do that, is what I'm trying to say. And we'll see if anyone tries to follow in his footsteps, as we'll take a look at the match history from Spring. You'll notice that Sandbox actually got off to a really nice start in Spring, but then they did lose to Damwon in a 2-1 in the second round, actually match 88, so one of the last matches of the entire season. And so it kind of does show you that Sandbox started off well, but then did go down a bit. So we'll see if they can come back. But first, guys, we do have some trash talk.
방금했고 샌드박스도 승강전 왔는데 다 이제 첼코에서 승격한 팀들이어서 좀 더 마음이 아팠던 것 같아요.
담원이 같은 승강전 동기로서 성적이 잘 나왔잖아요.
사위 구이네요, 세상에.
시기 아닌 시기 그런 게 생기더라고요. 같이 올라왔고 그렇게 전략상으로 큰 차이가 나는 것 같지 않은데 좀 부러웠어요.
그런 잘 나가는 모습을 보면 사실 다 부러워요.
그러면 잘하셨어야죠.
근데 약간 좀 차량이 크면서 사춘기가 있잖아요. 샌드박스가 일단은 이번 스프링에 사춘기가 왔다고 생각하고 다시 정비해서 하면 많이 맞춰지지 않을까 그런 생각도 있어요.
샌드박스가 승강전 가는 거 보면서 슬펐어요. 왜냐면은 거기서 떨어지면은 이제 제가 못 이기니까.
근데 확실히 고스트 선수가 영입되고 아 이거 영향이 무조건 있구나.
이제 용준이 같은 경우에는 사실 샌드박스에 나가고 나서 저한테 좀 연락이 많이 왔어요. 용준이가 형 저 어떻게 하면 좋아요? 약간 이런 식으로 얘기했는데 결국 용준이가 저보다 더 잘 됐더라고요.
용준아 거기서는 행복하니?
여기 와서 너무 행복하고요. 너무 좋아해요.
폭파시켜줄게. 빡대 그냥.
장겸이 형이 봇갱을 잘 못하는 걸로 알고 있는데 어떻게 터뜨린다는지 잘 모르겠고 장겸이 형이 이제 똥 싸서 똥 풀리기로 돼서 이기도록 하겠습니다.
재밌는 친구예요.
무력의 최강자면 너구리 아니겠습니까?
맞아요.
고스트 다 진짜 잘하죠.
고립데스가 1위라는 건 아무래도 너구리 선수님 고독사 조심하십시오.
왜 저한테만 그러세요? 아니, 오프리 선수가 매서운, 뱅킹이 매서워요. 봐주세요. 살살 해주세요. 고립 더 늘어나면은 안 돼요.
너구리 선수는 호스트 팀에 뽑히고 저는 승강전에 갔다 왔는데 간절함에서 나오는 매운맛 보여드리겠습니다.
일단 매운맛이라고 하면은 트레이드 마크라 해야 되나? 그런 게 있거든요. 그거는 제 맛으로 다시 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 누가 이기는 2대0 날 것 같아요.
MSC 때 담원의 경기를 봤는데 약점이 어느 부분인지 좀 보였고 약점을 잘 파면 이길 것 같아요.
딱히 무섭지 않고요. 저번 시즌에 9위 하셨으니까 8위 정도 늘어보시는 게
저희가 준비한 대로만 한다면 좋은 결과 있을 것 같아서 꼭 이겨보도록 하겠습니다.
서머 시즌 첫 경기가 샌드박스전이 됐는데 좋은 경기력으로 승리할 수 있도록 열심히 하겠습니다.
샌드박스도 다시 날아오를 때가 되지 않았나. 잘해보겠습니다. 화이팅.
So there you have it. You heard from both teams. I feel like one of the spiciest things outside of Nuggery's play that we did here was Showmaker saying, hey, you got 9th, maybe you could reach high and try to get 8th this time. He's really calling him out as Showmaker is oozing with confidence, I suppose, after his own recent individual success, but we'll see how Damwon do as a team. Just a reference to the player yesterday,
Yeah.
Cast, you know, just threw a little one in there for you guys.
Yeah.
Of course, they are going up against Sandbox here.
Yeah, and I mean, Summit versus Nuggery is going to be the premier matchup, but everywhere else, I can't really imagine Sandbox stands that much of a chance. So I think that the drafts are going to be pretty important. And the worrisome thing for me is that if Sandbox tries to do things in Sandbox fashion, Damwon is one of those teams that you would feel most confident getting into skirmishes and reckless play with. So, or well, Damwon's the confident.
Yeah.
As key player is going to be Nuggery. 2020 LCK Spring statistics, 2.3 in the KDA, damage per minute 530, damage percent 28.8, CS differential at 15, who was second in the league with 8.3, and I mean, just
his best
isolated deaths, 63. Now this is the stat that, it's actually the invert. You don't want to be first in it.
Yeah.
You want to be last, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Maybe like 12th, or it might even be 15th with how many subs we have now in the LCK. You have to think, you know, they're playing something like, you know, what is it in total? 18? No, it's, I'm trying to like calculate. Okay, they have 9 matches and they're best of 3, so it's like 20, 25 games-ish, I'd say. And he's getting killed 63 per split, so that's like 2 or 3 times a game, which is insane. The amount of times he dies by himself, but he makes up for it in the late game. He is a crazy carry, and that has always been his strength and his weakness at the same time. Now, of course, one thing to talk about for Sandbox is that they do have, of course, the foreign coach, Yamato Cannon. You guys may have heard of him. He's currently in the quarantine, actually, in one of their facilities, so I would assume that he's helping a lot online currently with some of the analysis and their games, of course. Definitely going over their losses on Wednesdays. We'll see if that does help out as we're getting ready to jump into pick ban here for game number 1.
And Damwon, they're going to ban away Karma first. Instant response by Sandbox with the Varus takeaway. And now Damwon going to respond with a Kalista ban. Ezreal now being removed from the table. And Damwon, I mean, the big question is, are they trying to get their hands onto Aphelios and hoping that maybe Sandbox just don't even bother banning it away? No, they're going to ban it away. So we're going to have an honest bot lane dynamic here.
Yeah, finally. We saw way too many of the Aphelios versus Ezreal matchups yesterday. I've just about had enough with especially Mr. Years over there on the left. And we'll have to see what the last ban will be. You were thinking, you know, Set, Syndra, stuff like that. We've seen the uprising of Lulu as well with some hyper carries. But it is the Set that does get banned away.
And Trundle does end up getting picked first here by Damwon. Obviously, I'm not a super big fan of B1 Trundle, because there's so many thematic counters just in team compositions, but also even just matchup counters exist. And Syndra is going to be picked up by Sandbox first. And they're going to pair it with a blind pick support here. It's not actually picking up the jungler right away, feeling like they want to get their hands on Thresh. And red side is actually the side where you would expect an allocated counter pick to support or mid. And yet Sandbox R1, R2 them, which is very perplexing. And then the other thing about it is that Thresh doesn't traditionally go with many hypers. So it's not even like we would be expecting a hyper AD carry to come in, and that would be one way to utilize the counter pick. So the only things that are really on my mind here is they're going to go AD carry R3, and then jungle R4, and then counter pick top for Summit. Damwon picking Zoe into Syndra. A little bit of disrespect there, and now Senna is going to come out, and this opens up Trundle to be flexed into support, although that is less common.
Yeah. The other thing about Zoe is that it was Showmaker's most played in Spring by far, and he's a big fan of the Zoe. Not traditionally great into the Syndra, as you were mentioning, LS, but Definitely a comfort pick for Showmaker, who is showing a whole lot of comfort in terms of his numbers.
And Wukong now picked R3, so I guess counter picks just go right out the window here.
Sandbox will do Sandbox things.
I'm not really so sure what to make of it. The other thing is that Wukong, Zoe enjoys fighting against him, and so does Senna. So they're actually picking into Damwon right now. And I can't imagine that Damwon is feeling too bad about this. I think if you're Damwon, you feel like, okay, yes, please continue, is the thought process.
Yes, tell me more.
Renekton now getting banned away by Sandbox. And if you're Damwon, I don't even think that you would want a Renekton in this spot because Thresh is so obnoxious, Syndra with the QE. Doesn't matter about the isolated matchup against Wukong. I think if you pick Renekton with Trundle in a spot like this where Sandbox are already showing that they have to engage and they have champions like that, because it's unlikely they're going to be able to find some sort of an AD carry that lets them sit back against Zoe and Senna, that Renekton just doesn't make any sense. So Sandbox, in a bizarre world, I think would actually be happy if Renekton ended up on Damwon's side, and Lee Song is going to get banned away. I saw the interesting stat that ended up on Reddit that Lee Sin had 27% win rate.
Oh, nice.
In the LCK.
In the LCK.
Yeah. And 50% in the LPL, which also is not a good stat. So that is an interesting, interesting champion. Twisted Fate getting banned away here. And so they're respecting the ability for Syndra to actually go down into the bot lane.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And if the Wukong wasn't picked, you might think an Aatrox for Summit might not be off the table, but the Graves is going to be picked here into the jungle.
Graves is coming in. And as it stands right now, I mean, everything on Sandbox really hates tanks. Graves doesn't like it, Wukong doesn't like it, Syndra hates it so much. And so their entire team comp is very prone to them, and Maokai is, I mean, he's a bit of a tree.
You're already looking at Senna that can be fasted.
Yeah.
That often goes with tanks, right?
Yeah. And Jace now coming in to pair with the Zoe for Jace Zoe. And so an interesting option. Another option that would actually be really fantastic here against Sandbox that Korean teams probably would never think about is actually Malphite. In a spot like this, Graves would get ruined, Syndra can't play the game, Thresh who, and then Wukong just gets lane kingdomed in top lane. So that would have been very, very scary, because then you have Senna with basically 3 tanks that are all getting healing.
Ooh.
Malphite goes Abyssal Mask,
Yuck.
amplifies Zoe's damage because he's right on top of his opponents always. Really, really, really powerful synergy. But instead, Damwon, they're going to do Damwon things. They're going to pick the Jace. Nagari's going to try to lane Kingdom.
Yeah.
And they'll transition into a Zoe Jace type of team composition, very akin to Zoe Ezreal. Sandbox, they try to change pace here by picking up an Azir, but there's not a whole lot of protection for Azir. It feels like to me it's going to be very awkward for him to actually go in, even with his Sand Soldiers. We saw it in one of the games yesterday what happens when the Azir and the Ashe couldn't go forward because their tanks were on a different agenda.
Yeah.
And they just end up standing there not being able to really do anything. And you have to wonder what is going to end up happening this game. The Graves versus Trundle dynamic is nice, but when you pair in the laners, I think you feel much more comfortable with Damwon's team comp. Maokai Senna, Zoe Trundle, and Jace
Hello mọi người.
for the side of Damwon, and Sandbox, Wukong, Graves, Azir, Syndra, and Thresh. So they do have some pick potential in the later stages. Syndra with the QE setup, Thresh with the Death Sentence, and obviously Shurima Shuffles, but you don't want to be Shurima Shuffling into that team. You will just get locked down and die. And I am having a lot of difficulty imagining how this team sets up for Azir to do damage.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself. Again, it just looks like one of those on-paper comfort picks where Dove is like, you know what I'm good at? Well, I named myself after this champion. He's a bird. His name is Azir. So pick me that one. And they kind of win for that. Maybe he's comfortable in the matchup. And we've seen many Korean teams that don't necessarily tailor their compositions towards, 5v5s, stuff like that. They want to win lanes, or they go with comfort. So I feel like that might be part of the case here. Certainly a lot of damage potential in their comp, but they're not exactly going into the most friendly composition for what they bring in terms of damage. So it will be interesting to see what does happen here. Sandbox, of course, they're a team that love to get ahead early and just are always in your face. So if they can get ahead early, maybe they can use their huge damage to knock you down. We'll have to see, as Onfleek is not going to be starting blue. He is Graves. He will go to the red.
Well, taking a look at the runes here, we got Ingenious Hunter and Predator. On the Trundle. And remember, this is the Predator buff patch, where you can use it more often. And Onfleek is just going to do the red buff. We'll pay attention to what his opening is. Down in the bot lane here, Root and Gorilla. With Syndra Thresh. Syndra is good against Senna in a vacuum. But obviously Maokai, he's a real menace for the enemy team. Also, Syndra has the Scorch, but there's no universe where you're not just considering going later into the game, so the Scorch very confusing, because you're not a kill lane just because you're Syndra and Thresh.
Especially against Senna Maokai.
Yeah.
Are going to bring so much tankiness and sustain in their kits. It's like the Scorch is just immediately going to be negated.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already done a nice amount of poke, but Ghost and Barrel are full health, so there's not really much doing there.
And Graves with the red Raptors into blue buff immediately. There's a ward on him as well. And this will split his jungle clearing a little bit. Not the end of the world, though, by any means. We take a look at top lane. Now, Nuguri here, he hasn't used any of his corrupting potions. We're probably not going to see a cheater recall. But Jace is one of the best champions at executing it and then also getting benefit, because Corrupting Pot, hard trade into the opponent. Jace is a very big bully. Gets the cheater recall, Cull comes back, wave's frozen, Jace zones you out, and things can get scary. But Nuguri probably just wanting to pile up waves, crash, go for turret plates, things of that nature. And here's Onfleek looking to sin on Graves.
Yeah, okay, they're gonna get the flay onto Barrel.
Yeah, not so sure about that one.
Yeah, there was no follow-up at all, so...
It was an interesting move there, Cotton. And in exchange for it, they're gonna end up losing double Scuttle Crab, and we're gonna have a Trundle out-farming Graves here, so... Very cool.
Very nice. Well, he's back again, as
here we go.
This time it might work, but the twisted advance onto the minion means that, again, Graves' farm is going to be delayed, and again, they will not pick up the kill.
And they shared quite a bit of EXP with one another as well. Maokai just going to farm this wave, and Barrel has teleport. Remember, I mean, Root does as well, but this is much more problematic for Sandbox all around, because take a look at Trundle. He's on a mission right now. Not only did he come up here, he's spotted the golems. Now, unfortunately for him, he will finish his recall. Didn't have Smite available anyway, but this is all really good. Everyone knows where Graves is. Everyone's playing with map hacks. You hit tab, you count as CS. Summit is looking like Plummet right now, as the top lane is not going super well.
Yeah. That's another good one. I've seen many other iterations of the, the troll names, but Plummet's nice.
He's on Wukong here, not Trundle.
He's not on Aatrox, so it's we've all seen how that goes. As Barrel is getting in there, the hook goes down onto Senna, but Gorilla has aggro and he's just dead. So now we got Showmaker coming down here onto Root, who does have his flash. He doesn't want to use it, though. You can see Showmaker trying to not spread out the minions there. Will now help on the push. So a failed, I'm not sure what that was, skirmish, I guess. It does not work out, and Beryl picks up a kill.
Yeah, his teleport ends up not being super successful. He did have a lot of time for it, though, as Azir was on a reset. So we take a look at this replay. Look at the minion wave. When Showmaker does go for the TP, Azir is recalling. Showmaker gets all the minions, I believe, before the teleport, so the wave is resetting. Beryl and Ghost just pick up a kill in front of their turret. And take a look at Root's gold. He ended up being gated, couldn't quite get the lost chapter. Really big problem. About 5 CS off, I believe, from being able to afford it at this game timer.
Yeah. Should have been pretty close, and the TP's already down, so can't really get a great back from that from now on. But at least Sandbox, after everyone went back and bought items on the side of Dom1, they're going to pick up that first Cloud Drake. So no Cloud Drake Soul, no Ocean Soul either. So we're looking at Infernal or Mountain in this game. And the bottom lane so far has been it's been pretty nice for Dom1. All things considered, the TP from the Zoe was great. As Showmaker was helping out, he didn't necessarily help in the kill onto Gorilla, but his presence certainly made it possible.
And all things considered, though, everything is still relatively stable. It's only about a 1,000 gold lead for Dom1. And Sandbox did get the first Dragon. Canyon's going to come in here with Showmaker, pick up the red buff. And Dove is going to get checked for a little bit of this damage. And OnFlake is very far behind. That is where the real tragedy, and all of this is a byproduct of that opening where he tried to sin for no reason on Graves. Ended up losing both of his Scuttle Crabs, ended up giving away map hacks essentially to the opponents because Canyon was able to place that ward onto the golems. And this is all just sort of a chain effect of that.
Yeah, you remember the interviews, the trash talk. Ghost was like, yeah, OnFlake's not very good at ganking the bottom lane. And OnFlake's, well, yeah, I'm going to show you what's up. I'm gonna pop you like a balloon or whatever he said. And then it's like, well, I wonder if in the pick ban they were like, let's set up a kill lane and get a kill for OnFlake who's going to try to force it. Kind of, trying to come up with reasons for why it happened the way it did, but it's hard to do so, to say the least. As things have kind of calmed down here after the Drake went down, we're not going to force any Rift Heralds right now, even though they do have some priority there.
Dove is getting beat up a little bit in the mid lane. Even though there was that blunder teleport by Showmaker down into bottom, he is constantly a little bit behind of the Zoe. And yeah, Graves, I mean, he's just foregoing his camps again, looking for a gank that doesn't exist. So, immaculate decision down here, as Canyon now going to clear out the ward inside of the Rift Herald. Graves still going to forego his camps.
I sense some sarcasm in your voice.
What sarcasm?
Tell me if I'm off here. I'm not sure.
That's the Bronze 5 in you speaking.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
BB.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, he comes up here perhaps thinking he's going to stop the Rift Herald, but then he just goes back after help pushing mid. But he, it's not like they're going to do much except get a faster blue for the Azir. And just a lot of delay in the pathing because of that. There was never really a world where they could just collapse and get on in there.
Jace had total control, so he would be able to get there. I like how Canyon pulled it over to the left-hand side. And at this point, I mean, things are just getting worse and worse. Canyon is at Cinderhulk, had the Predator boots. Graves still just sitting on double longsword, doesn't yet have the Warrior enchant. We'll see if he gets it here on the recall. No!
Oh.
Oh, man.
Not yet.
Oh, that's a wide peepo sad. For sure.
Pepe hands, perhaps.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's sad days for Graves right now.
Yeah, and I mean, Canyon, he's going to be able to do the Raptor camp into Golems, maybe look for a gank bottom. Dragon's coming up. Now, Graves here, he has realistically only one option, which is just to do Graves into Wraiths into Wolves. He has to do that kind of a play, or he has to do that kind of pathing.
Trying to deny this with the ward. Can they get it? The Lantern is not able to be taken, and Ghost just shoots him in the face. Right point blank. Ghost will pick up that kill. A nice little play there set up by Ghost and Beryl. Roots deciding he's not going to flash. He's just dead. And that will set up a nice little push down on the bottom side. He has Rift Herald, by the way, does Canyon.
Yep.
They're going to drop it here after taking down the first 2 plates.
And Dubs here, I mean, the Rift Herald is summoned. It will crash into the turret. There's no way they can. Can they kill it? Whoa.
Oh,
really close, though. Nice attempt.
Yeah.
By Sandbox there. And now they're going to come over and they're going to group for the ocean. No, never mind. They're just going to go back down into bottom. Nuggery almost has teleport. Zoe and Trundle in close proximity. I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, the hook goes wide, and now they're all stuck under the turret here. Awkward spot. Showmaker kind of has a shooting gallery. It's not going to land anything, though.
Right now, Sandbox playing the Vertical Summoner's Rift. Or ARAM, Howling Abyss. Inside of the, yeah. 4 members in their blue side jungle still.
Well, they're trying to stop this Ocean Drake from being taken. And so they say, we're going to make a very aggressive move to get on in here. Root's going to lose some XP and gold down on the bottom side. As the last play goes onto Beryl, but he's so tanky, and Gorilla has no tanky stats, as he does not have Aftershock. He's got Guardian. And now Ghost in a really awkward spot, though. He's probably going to go down here. As a double knockup does come in by the side of Sandbox, but a nice sniperino there from Showmaker. As trying to tank in the front line there was on Fleek. Still had a splash, but didn't react on time. As the Drake will go their way, and the rest of Sandbox is stuck here in the river, being chased down as there's just massive damage coming in. The shooting gallery once again of Zoe and Jace is just unbelievable, and they lock him down again, but they can't quite dive just yet. As Damwon are making a case here to already try to take down the game.
And it looks like Sandbox, I mean,
they're going in. Sandbox is going in. They say, hey guys, I think this is our chance. That was absolutely not it, guys. As Nuggery, he just TP'd back top lane. He's like, guys, there's still plates left. Let me get the most value, the most bang for my buck.
He's going to get all of them. Summit doesn't have teleport. He's dead for 21 seconds. I mean, okay, here comes on Fleek. But Graves is level 80, does have red buff.
They're going to TP.
He has red smite too.
They're probably going to get Nuggery here. Although TP is coming in, and Senna trying to help out, but not the best help, as now it's Beryl against 2. Got some minions to help. Beryl is just, he is thick, man.
Yeah.
He's been working out.
So they end up committing the teleport, but then Root immediately loses everything. And his HP, I mean, is at about 40% right now. Let's take a look at how this transpired. This was the most simple kill. Now, Gorilla, he could have thrown the Lantern maybe up more after the Root finished and then flash into it and then get the Lantern. That would be the play there. Summit coming in from behind. Take a look at Ghost. Dove not really able to get a lot of value here. Has to kite up towards his team. Looks like he wants to go for a Shurima Shuffle, but then hesitates as Summit's there. Goes on to Ghost, kills him really easy. On Fleek says, please put me out of my misery, as he goes forward just to get popped. He never had damage to kill Beryl there. Not totally sure what he was doing. Summit looking like he wants to go back in, but I believe his ear's on cooldown still. So unable to really do anything. Ends up having to retreat, and then nice attempt by Root to knock him back with Scatter the Weak, but Damwon weren't weak there. Right here, I have absolutely no clue what the thought process was here. That is a very tanky Trundle. You don't have any damage. Your Syndra, very, very weak at that point in time. It's a 5,000 gold lead for Damwon here at 14.5 minutes.
Yeah. It's looking like another one of those LCK stomps we got coming in here. Damwon come out strong. Sandbox flat once again. As they're going to make another aggressive play try to happen here as Nuggery sees it coming. He's like, I've been here before, guys. Trust me. I know what it's like to get camped. It is me after all, as 3 members were down there trying to get him. Doesn't pan out, though.
Well, Nuggery and Ghost now doing the red. Unsure who they just gave that to, but Mountain Drake coming up next, and that's a very big problem for Sandbox. Because Azir and Syndra really, really hate when opponents are tanky. Azir a little bit less so, but it really invalidates Syndra. She ends up getting stuck on her items, which if you're a mid lane player, you probably understand what I mean when it just feels really bad to get Ludens and then a Void Staff, and then it just feels like the next item that you have to get is so expensive, you're not getting any value, your core components don't feel good. Just feels like you're doing nothing for about 10 minutes, and it's one of the worst feelings in the world. As Beryl looking like, all right, successfully steals all the raft. Ah, this is not on game.
Yeah, he's been struggling, and you can see he almost dives there to the Maokai. And Dove might, okay,
Yeah,
he's
Dove
got
is getting
flash.
soloed by Trundle. No,
Yeah,
okay.
well, Azir is a little
maybe
bit
the
more.
tree? Okay, this is like Lord of the Rings at this point. You ever see when the trees in that movie? You don't. Tell me
Yeah,
you
no,
didn't
I
watch
did
it.
see it, but
You did?
it was a while ago.
Okay.
Like when I was much younger, like when they first came out.
When you were like what, like 16?
Whenever they first came out. I don't know when that was. Long time ago.
I was making a boomer joke, you know. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah. But I do remember the trees.
Okay.
So there is
Glad that
that.
you remember that.
Yeah. We got that going.
They look like Ivern if he found his way into a bakery buffet. You know.
I love bakery buffets, by the way, Matt.
They have them in Korea.
Bakeries in general. Do they really?
Yeah, there's an all-you-can-eat like sweets and bakery cake.
Ooh, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah, it definitely is. I don't know.
Oh boy.
I don't know. You know, they have like smoothies and shakes and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know why you would ever go there. You walk out looking like Tom Kenny.
OP. Well, they already have so much damage here that I'm not sure what Sandbox can do. They got Beryl in the front. Nuggery's tanking. Nice knock up there into the Wukong, though, as Nuggery's going to go down early. Not the first time I've said that. Casting Damwon, but they're going to get the root down onto Dove and make that a second and a third. And how about a double kill for the Zoe, who hasn't done too much damage. Actually, Azir has done the most, but it does not matter as he doesn't pick up the kills. And that's just going to be another team fight win for the side of Damwon. They get a bunch of resistances for their tanks in the front. The Trundle, the Maokai that are already giving their comps so much trouble are just going to get that much more annoying.
Yeah. And I really like the Magi Soul Stealer on Zoe, except for if she dies here, I'm going to recount my statement. Yeah, so I really like the Magi Soul Stealer on Zoe here. It's at 14 stacks. We saw in one of the games yesterday that there was a Darksteel at 10 stacks and never got upgraded.
It was Mickey that did that?
Yeah. I think that Magi is one of the most underappreciated items. Take a look at this replay here. As Beryl goes in, he's just way too tanky, on fleek, doesn't deal any damage. Now, Nuggery does get brought down. Gorilla, quick to follow. Mountain Drake ends up going over to Damwon, and then right there, Dove ends up getting locked up. And take a look at Showmaker.
수면 잘 자요.
Good night.
잘 자요.
Good night.
용스틱.
Says I'm gonna steal
Dragon
your
Steel.
Yeah.
뺏었어. 얘들아 내가 뺏었어.
I got it, guys. I got it, lol. That's the official translation. This guy he's pretty stacked. He goes into solo queue, he gets first and second place on the ladder. And now he's 4-0-2 with 14 stacks on Majais in his first game. Is this the season of Showmaker? We'll have to wait and see until he plays better teams. But for now, he's looking pretty good. Nuggery is going to get ganked. Not the first time that's happened either, as Beryl, he doesn't take damage at this point.
Does that count as an isolated death?
Let's just put it on, yeah, let's just give him that one. You know, it's like one of his first place stats, so we want to add to the number.
Yeah. Well, 7,000 gold advantage with a Mountain Dragon, which for a couple of these champions is actually really big because they normally don't get resistances, and armor amplification is going to be so good against the enemy team. It's going to be that much more difficult for Graves and Wukong to deal damage, especially given that they have 3 more mountains to go. Yes, Wukong and Graves do both have Black Cleaver, which I find that so odd, by the way, that they're both stacking Black Cleaver. I would imagine that Wukong gets the Black Cleaver, shreds it, Graves goes lethality, tries to bring him as close as possible to dealing true damage. Both of them having it so that Syndra's auto attacks and Azir's auto attack deal more. Probably not the best as Root flashing away.
Subjugate.
Does get the Lantern though.
Yeah. He should be fine. The damage has stopped ticking, but I mean, there wasn't even a fight that happened really. It was just Zoe, Jace, 5 bajillion miles ahead. Let's call it 200 light years in this one. And they're just having fun. Barrel's running through the base. He says, hey guys, let's go. We're invading, we're ganking, we're engaging. He's gonna find on fleek as Gorilla and Gang don't really have any place to go but back. Although we do have a teleport coming in, but Showmaker is the sniper man today. As Summit is desperately trying to get on in there, but even Ghost is really tanky at this point.
Summit can't really do anything. I mean, it's just way too problematic. They're way too far behind. And unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough in this game. And also, you take a look at even Azir right now. He doesn't even have Sorkpen boots. He does have the Oblivion Orb. But Zoe has Banshee's Veil, Spirit Visage on Trundle, and Adaptive Helm on Maokai. I mean, Azir's just not dealing any damage to anyone. Senna has HP stack, and yeah, their magic resistance is pretty pathetic on some of the champions not building MR, but these Mountain Dragons are going to make up for that. It's going to help give a little bit of buff there as the core item purchases. I mean, the stat line really tells the difference here.
Yeah.
Dom are itemized very well. They have everything going for them. This game is really looking like it doesn't have much more time in it, as there is the Fabled book.
Yeah. You know, maybe he's saying I need the most stats possible for now to survive, and he is going up against Senna Maokai and Trundle, I guess.
The weird thing here is that they don't make it so that Wukong gets the Executioners or Graves. Instead, they make the mid laner invest 3,000 gold into getting it. So when he's already starved and hard pressed, apparently 800 gold is too tall of an ask for the jungler or the top laner.
Yeah, he desperately needs Death Stance. You know, just in case. Well, they're gonna get another Mountain Drake here, just to add further onto the sadness of Sandbox. And the inevitable push is coming, guys. You know, I know it, LS knows it, we all know it, it's coming. And Sandbox are also, unfortunately, in that spot as well. As Trundle with Zoe and Jace is a lot of fun. I'm not sure where Summit's going. Looking for the knockups here, and there's the engage. He's going to get a bunch of tanky members into his own back line. And they're just going to they're just going to jump the wall and kill them all. I mean, that is a really nice snipe by Nuggery, actually, on the backside. So props to him. And that should be the end of this one, guys. Pretty quick game number one as Damwon flex all over Sandbox.
Now it is Graves, so with his Q, may be able to actually push out the minion wave, but Showmaker has teleport. He's just going to TP and lock up a minion. This is... Okay, we're not lock up the minion, I guess. We're just going to TP.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he bought Elixir.
He wants to get as much damage as possible and kills more so. He's worried about his KDA. Nice stopwatch there. He's got 25 stacks already, and that's going to be the end of that one. GG, guys. 24.5 minutes, and Damwon just roll over Sandbox here in game number one. Showmaker is he's pretty happy right now.
That was
pretty happy guy.
that was a stomp. That was I'm not even sure.
Yeah. I mean, we were expecting Damwon to win, and to win 2-0, but like this is next level. I mean, we are just, you know, we're getting there.
Yeah, I don't really know what Sandbox is even really thinking. I mean, yeah, that was something. That was absolutely a destruction. It was all a snowball, but then we saw them consenting to team fights that really had no purpose being consented to. The draft from the get-go was very bizarre, and the way that they were trying to achieve two different things. The Azir came in clearly as comfort, but yeah, very out of theme with the team composition. Didn't really have to do with why they lost, but they were really just getting torn apart everywhere. Root looked very uncomfortable on the Syndra, and
there's not much else to say.
I can't imagine after watching this game as well as thinking back to the Afrika series that there's anything that's going to really be changed up between game 1 and 2 that would somehow equate to something meaningfully different.
Yeah, everything just feels so forced, from the draft to the plays, the ganks that were happening, the setups. It's like, we need to make this happen. We need to pick this guy. We need to get aggressive. And just all of that forcing doesn't really seem to make anything effective actually come out of it. It's like a boss who's pushing you too hard and actually making his workers less effective. And I'm not sure who, you know, what the idea is, I suppose, but I think they're going to have to change something up for better results.
The other thing is that on Fleek, I mean, the way that he was trying to play Graves, it looked like he was Jarvan or something.
Yeah,
it was
like a ganking
so,
jungler.
Yeah, and it was so bizarre because so many things were unnecessary.
Yeah.
For some of the ganks that he was doing, and then he had the really weird thing where he went bottom, river brush, pathed up towards mid, paused, turned back around.
Yeah, went to blue.
Right, then went to blue.
Yeah, wasted about a minute and a half there or something.
Extremely inefficient jungling out of him on a jungler that really can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
And really doesn't play towards his strength. So we'll see if maybe he can get something going.
Yeah.
In game 2 on maybe a different jungle.
Hopefully. We'll have to wait and see. But guys, we have a special VCR, a very special video for you guys to watch in the break. So make sure you stay tuned. You don't go anywhere during this break. You definitely do not want to miss this. It is a follow-up of something we've done in the past, and everybody's involved this time around. So maybe you guys can catch my drift, but you definitely do not want to miss this. During this break, maybe the best entertainment we'll have in the series the entire time. So make sure you guys are staying tuned. I thought we were going to break, but also the Bard skins at the end of the series. Don't forget that. But guys, going to the break, going to the video. See you in a bit.
나도 나한테 오고 야 여기서 일할게 벽에서 일할게 야 보자 오고 천천히 야 괜찮아 야 들어와 렛츠고 안 보여 나 신나는 안 보여 아니나요 안 보여 연막탄 야 바텀으로 끝내버려 그냥 눈이 안 보여요 잘 자요 난 좋은데? 텔로 올까? 텔 좋은데? 텔 좋다. 텔 좋은데? 끝난 거 같은데? 좀 마커 샌드박스 라인 끊는다
좀 마커 라면 끓여줘.
야, 아래
여기서 광해검 사버리기. 이 영약 빨아버리기.
다 묶을게. 묶었어.
이래버리기. 맞춰버리기. 앞점을 써버리기. 수면 초시게 해버리기.
오케이.
매자 25 해버리기.
사발면이고.
긴장 띄워버리기.
사발면.
완벽했다. 나를 둘러싼 모든 것들이 완벽했다.
강팀주님, 요즘 서부팀 경기 잘 안 보시는 것 같아요. 트렁크 한번 봐봐요. 거기에 뭐 숨기는 것 같던데?
선우, 해설하다가 급하게 나갔어. 너한테 가는 것 같다. 조심해. 동부팀 경기 보는 거 눈치챈 것 같아.
동부팀 경기 봤어?
I saw it. 봤어. 꿀잼.
나도 봤어. 허니잼.
모든 게 완벽했다. 나를 둘러싼 모두가 완벽하게 나를 속이고 있었다. 재밌니? 혹시 너 알고 있었어? 어우, 야, 태호 그 자식이 꿀잼이라고 한 경기만 보자 그래서. 나 몰래 동부 경기도 같이 보고 네가 내 친구가 맞긴 하니? 당연하지. 그렇다면 분석 똑바로 해 이제부터! 재혁 씨, 대체 왜 동부는 재밌는 거야?
선우 씨 괜찮아요? 선우 씨. 뭐야? 선우 씨 괜찮아요? 뭐요? 바로 쇼.
더 이상 강팀준이 아닌 거야?
난 네가 사랑에 빠진 게 죄는 아니잖아. 꿀잼.
이런 갓나 새끼.
너도 보고 싶잖아. 동부특 경기 보고 싶어 죽겠잖아 당신. 아니야?
이게 나야.
엄마 아빠 뭐가 그렇게 쉬워? 아니 언제는 강팀이 최고라며. 내가 미치겠는 거 동부팀과 서부팀을 동시에 좋아한다는 거야.
그러게 남의 바로 함부로 치는 게 아닌데. 맞아요. 저 싱글이라고요. 혼자 사는 게 무슨 문제인지 말씀을 해보시라고요.
LCK 걱정하지 마. 내가 후원하도록 하지. 친해질게.
저도 LCK 들어가고 싶은데.
찬성 하시는 분?
난 찬성.
던데요.
저도 찬성이에요.
Welcome back everybody for the Friday night's LCK 2020 Summer Split Analyst Desk. We'll be joined by our fellow analysts, Wadid and Lyra.
반갑습니다. 리라 남태입니다.
두 분 덕분에 제가 합류할 수 있었습니다. 찬성 감사드려요.
That was an awesome K-drama parody. And let's move on to the analysts for the draft. Damwon was having a huge stomp on over Sandbox. Sandbox got the R1 Syndra. So yeah, this is a two-way flex pick, and a lot of LCK teams are actually using it on mid lane, but this time around they were going for a really hard priority for the bot lane. Maybe due to Joker role swapping to the coaching staff because he was used to be a support player, maybe they're focusing on the bot lane. But even though Sandbox had a lot of possibility to counter the comp from the Damwon Gaming, they weren't actually pulling off the best draft possible. This was the first blunder that Sandbox made. This was the first game coming from OnFlink. So OnFlink wasted so much time over here, and after the first failure, he actually overstayed and looking for another gank trial. However, the second try was not perfect as well, so we could say that OnFlink started to be so behind compared to Kenyan. And then this was a very critical mistake from Gorilla. Syndra returned to lane with the TP, so she was having a lot of priority. However, that kind of fight attempt from Gorilla was a huge miss, and Sandbox started to lose their momentum of the game. So even though Sandbox was preparing a lot of bot-oriented game this time around, they weren't able to convert it into a gameplay. And this Dragon Fight was the moment for Damwon Gaming to have the huge tide of the game. Because Sandbox was so behind, they were setting up for this raid. However, Nuguri had a very high proximity for this fight, so Jace was just joining the fight by walking down from the mid lane, but Wukong had to use his TP and find the TP angle. However, that was not as successful as we expected. Sandbox did too much damage onto the front line, so they weren't able to melt down any of the crucial members on the side of Damwon. So, on the point of Damwon players' view, it could be a huge throw from Sandbox Gaming, and this game was a very typical game of a strong team versus a weak team. So we could see the power level gap was so huge. Let's check out who will be the player of the game for the first game of tonight.
자 이게 POG가 누가 뽑혀도 안 이상할 것 같은데 일단 바텀 아니면 미드일 것 같아요.
너무 잘했어요. 베릴 선수.
And Burrow will get the POG on Maokai.
조금 더 의미가 큰 게 바텀 쪽에서 신드라 스레시를 활용해서 바텀에서
This is really huge because Sandbox was focusing so hard on the bot side, but Burrow was so strong to break them down and even compensated.
계속 보여주면서 그래도 지금 신드라 스레시
So we can see that a lot of attempts coming from Gorilla and Root, but none of them were actually very meaningful for Sandbox. Rather, Damwon was always the one turning it around and getting more points ahead of Sandbox Gaming. In addition, Burrow's itemization was also really clever. But outside of Maokai, also all 4 players are also contributing really huge amounts in this game. So Burrow picked up 7 votes out of 12. But you can also see Showmaker winning some of the votes. So this will be, we'll be moving towards the game number 2, Damwon Gaming versus Sandbox Gaming.
자, 양 팀의
Thank you, Ji-sun, as always, for the wonderful translation of the analyst desk. Working? Can you? Okay, there you go. It's kind of in and out. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that second episode of the Korean drama. I think it's Dongbu. No. Bubu의 세계, but it's like they put in like Dongbu's Hobu의 세계. Anyway. It's the next one, and I had a very proud moment in there with my PogChamp. I was very proud of that one.
I hope that you learned something there, Valdez.
What was that?
That's why you don't touch the other team's Baron.
Okay.
Text it.
Yeah, I'll make sure never to do that.
Okay.
Thank you. And yeah, we got some League of Legends still. Damwon is on the red side. And Sandbox is on the blue side, so the colors don't match up, but we'll see how it changes things here. Set Varus. Nobody wants to play against Varus nowadays. I think he should be seeing some nerfs soon, LS.
Oh wait, he got an amazing nerf.
Yeah. 5 damage off his off his Q at level 18, or
now they're not trying to go too extreme, like 0.25 seconds.
Okay.
For Zoe, but they are, things are happening.
Next level.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear something's happening.
They might even remove 180 from him.
Oh.
Batch.
Oh no.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, I'm sure that would fix things.
Yeah. Damwon is okay. Varus and Ezreal probably going to ban Aphelios next, and Sandbox banning away the Senna, Karma, and the Set. So this is going to be pretty interesting. This, I think, will guarantee, by the way, if these ban phases keep up like this, that Set will get nerfed in 10-11. Or, I'm sorry, 10-14.
Yeah, 10-11 is
because 10-13's coming out, but 10-14, I think that'll put him again on the nerf block. And honestly, I mean, at that point, just getting destroyed for so long. Aphelios gonna be B1'd, and now how it's Damwon out.
Yeah, well, Damwon is going to go for that gigantic Trundle priority, which we have seen before.
You might have think that something just happened to me, but really
it was
the Trundle pick. Yeah, it got to me.
I understand. I felt it too.
Felt like I had a heart palpitation or something going on there. I'm not sure.
At least it wasn't Renekton.
Yeah.
Could
I might
be
not even
worse.
Be alive. Might need a paramedic. Syndra is going to get locked in here. R2. And
there's
now
so much priority on Thresh for Gorilla that, I mean, it's pretty good with Aphelios, don't get me wrong, but with how early it was picked in the last game, with Senna still available and Senna Maokai available, and how good that is against Thresh, it was a little bit surprising, but They're going to pick it up once again here and go with Jarvan. So you were saying that Omphik was kind of playing like Jarvan in game 1. Maybe he can find the right champion for it this time.
Well, already, I mean, yeah, he was definitely playing like Jarvan. And Damwon now are actually picking champions that run into the opponent's team composition, which I've voiced many concerns over such things in the past. So obviously Trundle and Pantheon trying to jump into Aphelios is not what you want to be doing, as Syndra is the lone soldier right now that has any sort of range advantage going on. Renekton does get banned away. And again, this is one of those situations where you have Pantheon, you have Trundle, you have Syndra. You should want Renekton to get picked by the enemy team. You should implore them and basically say, please, pick that champion. As Sandbox, now they're going to decide what they want to ban away. It's going to be the Jace. And so counter pick is still reserved here for Nuguri or Showmaker, as we have seen Ghost play Syndra. And then in addition to that, Pantheon is also able to go mid or support or jungle or top. So
nice.
In a way, all of Damwon's champion picks in theory could be concealed still. They could be giving pretty much nothing away except for the overarching theme of their team composition. Zoe, finally banned away.
Yeah. Taking away that champion, I suppose, against Dove. And the Corki was hovered there by Showmaker for a little bit. And they're going to say, we don't want to deal with Zoe, Jace, Corki, anyone, you know, Ezreal, Karma even, anyone that can put down the big poke. And they're just going to ban them all away in this game, as Wukong is picked up here. So there's just more dive to add along with this composition.
Yeah, they're just trying to go all in. And so now, if Sandbox dials back and they go for a protection team composition, that could be one of the answers to what Damwon's trying to do. I mean, Damwon still does have one pick remaining. Mordekaiser coming in. And I assume that'll be for top lane. And now they have to decide what the other pick is going to be, and this is a bit of a weird situation. I mean, Cassiopeia, even though there is a Syndra on the enemy team, is so good against so many of the remaining champions. Azir, another good champ against hard engage. He'll actually be able to use his R and Sand Shoulders this time. And also, Mordekaiser is one of those champions where he doesn't really implore the opponents to get lots of magic resist, and when you look at some of these champions, it's very awkward for Pantheon and Wukong to really get MR, and if Syndra's going to end up getting like a Banshees or something, she's really stifling her build as well. But it looks like Syndra might be headed down to bot lane, and that might be a Casa win coming in for Damwon.
Looks like it. Casa win. We'll have to see if it actually does pick up a win. Something that was interesting to me is that, you know, the coaches weren't really talking at all. It was all Showmaker. He was like, I want this champion. Give this to me. Maybe Akali. No, actually, let's go for Kassadin this time. It looked like he was really the one shot calling the draft when it came to that last pick there, so.
And this is really good. I like seeing stuff like this. We're seeing Pantheon put into the support role. Been a pretty big advocate of this for a very long time since the support item changes, because he can reliably get to meaningful lethality items. And then because he has the execute damage, he is able to remain relevant. He has global pressure, in a sense, from support. Very, very strong kill lane as well. However, the onus is really on Thresh to mess up here unless Syndra opens with QE, because otherwise Pantheon can never W. He'll always just get played back, assuming that Thresh has hands. So Mordekaiser, Jarvan, Azir, Aphelios, and Thresh now have a little bit of a problem right now. As Aphelios, he might have 200 years, but Kassadin is definitely BC, along with Zoe.
He's been around since the Stone Ages, I think. This guy, we all remember him from the yesteryear. And he's picked up every now and again nowadays, so I'm happy about that we do sometimes still get to see that Kassadin. So let's see who does pick up the win in this one. We're going to jump onto the Rift once again for Game 2, a match 5. Damwon absolutely trounced them in game number 1. Game 2, I feel like it's not as straightforward of a draft, but it does kind of work. Like all the pieces are kind of going in the same direction this time as well.
I would feel so much more comfortable being Damwon here than I would ever feel being Sandbox. And I mean, right off the bat, we have Azir with Doran's Ring and double red pot, but you're against a Kassadin. And we've seen mid laners that are very confident, like Chovy, Showmaker even historically, they'll just go Cull. And basically say, okay, I'm going to auto-attack you a lot, especially if you're ranged. You can end up doing that because the Doran's Ring just doesn't really make any sense. Kassadin's not interested in trying to kill you, so you don't need the combat stats. And he's also very slow at pushing back, so they could have gone for Corrupting Potion, Cheetah Recall into Darkseal. That would be very effective, and then you pull the lane on your side. Kassadin's melee feels very bad. But definitely not a good sign when you look mid.
Well, these Korean players, they're not cheaters. They don't like that cheater recall. They want to play very straight up and give their opponents a good chance to also win the game. They want to play it fair. But yeah, I mean, there's clearly some improvements that can be made. Dove is still going to get in his face, as you always should against the Kassadin. And we're going to just have to wait and see how this one pans out. I'm most excited about the bot lane, to be honest, to see how this one does work out. Beryl taking the Ignite and Syndra with TP.
And Showmaker.
Okay, we're just going in there. There's the pillar. I think he's dead. One more auto. Oh, he canceled it. He will survive with the Triumph on the backside. And there you go, just like that. Level 2 gank on a Trundle to take him down.
I mean, this is one of the worst things that you could ever have happen. He ends up buying a refillable potion, but I mean, Showmaker, he's at 75, 80% HP. On Kassadin, lane state is in a flawless position. Such a giant, nice wave going into him. He has fleet footwork. I mean, he's sitting pretty. And the problem is that he is a ticking time bomb of a champion, and having your Azir set so far back, I mean, this is one of the most sinful ganks, and it works out. Dub doesn't have level 2, not able to get the level up for any sort of HP. And meanwhile, down here in bot lane, Ghost and Beryl, they're just playing this very reserved, very safe and steady. Canyon finally getting to work on the right-hand side, and on Fleek, looks like he's going to come in here.
There's already a ward down. On Fleek is going to spot it, though, with the Scryer's Bloom.
Now, he might, yeah, he's going to smite thinking that, because he doesn't know if On Fleek has it or not, so that's why he has to play it safe. And you can see Showmaker being a little bit careful.
You know, there's no flash here.
Yeah, Nuguri might just get a kill, but you can see On Fleek, Beryl here as well. Oh.
It's going to be like a 4-on-2 of sorts. Dove is trying to get out of there with a flash on in, and Dove, ooh, the dodge on that one as Nuguri is just showing off here with his mechanical skill. Not sure why Ghost was anywhere near the
wave is coming into him, so I can't fathom why he wouldn't just be standing right pocket and then waiting for it. So, Sandbox, they do manage to bounce back in some area. This might just be a QE and then a trade. Yeah, this is it. This is it.
Trying to execute down onto Gorilla, and he is gone.
Yeah. Pantheon, pretty nice champion.
He provides
deals
a lot.
Insane amounts of damage.
Forces the flash as well.
Yeah.
See you later.
And now with Syndra's wave clear, Ghost should be able to actually hard shove this wave and next wave, and then Aphelios and Thresh's recalls are stifled between each other. And so the XP gets a little bit weird. We take a look at the replay. I want you to pay attention to Nuguri's clickback against Jarvan's EQ. Very, very clean to not get knocked up, and thus doesn't require Pantheon to flash, commit his Ignite. Pantheon Yeah, the wave was coming in. There was no reason.
That's just risky.
It's pretty cool. Aphelios at level 3 has a Varus ultimate. It's really nice. And then this is very standard procedure. Thresh should have been standing behind Aphelios to lantern him out, but Beryl and Ghost, quick capture. And that was the interaction I was talking about where Syndra just sets up for Pantheon. Very easy.
Yeah. Simple and clean is the way they do like it, and it's they should have seen, or at least expected, Beryl to go down there. Now on the backs, and because the teleport was used by Ghost, they're going to take this opportunity to go ahead and take out the Cloud Drake first. This happened in game number 1 as well, actually, very similarly. And
it's good to get the Cloud Dragon for Mordekaiser. This champion that generally doesn't really get CDR in his build unless he builds Zanya's, but hold on.
Level 6 on level 5, Summit. He may have stepped a little bit too far forward.
Oh, does he have 6?
He's trying to get it. Look at this XP bar on the left, guys. He's gonna get it, and there it is.
He's still dead.
He's dead. Well, he's got. Oh, okay. He's gonna flash. There's the shield. Nuggery's waiting it out, and he might not get it. He finally does at the last second, as Nuggery totally calculated down to the wire. He was not backing up.
There it is.
And there it is, the QE. As easy as you'd like. There's no summoners, no flashes on both bottom laners. You can't be that close to Syndra Pantheon.
I mean, the level of destruction happening in this series, it really looks like... I'm not even really sure what this looks like. This is a gap.
Is it new to you?
I can't even liken it. I can't even say that it's like LCK versus Challengers, because really Challengers puts up seemingly more of a fight.
Oh, that's mean, but it might be true, as Beryl is once again trying to pull off a POG performance here, LS. And they're just all over them once again. I mean, you can't even walk in your jungle. We're 7 minutes into the game.
I love Pantheon, by the way, as a support. So happy to see him here in this game. He's so much pressure, and then he gets the Umbral Glaive, and his vision control is also so impactful because he's constantly running around. He threatens to 1v1 you, which is also very scary. His item purchases, very effective, very cheap, gets a lot of value out of Serrated Dirk, only 1,100 gold. You can actually funnel resources into him, and then he influences the map. We're going to take a look at the replay, and you can see Summit. He's waiting on that one minion to die.
I think he said I should get this. I think I'm going to win. And that's it.
More no flash.
More no flash. And he had it all the way. And here's the easiest setup you've ever seen.
That's the QE, and it basically, I mean, it's like Moses parting the Red Sea or something. It just gives Pantheon the opening on Thresh that he normally wouldn't have because of the Flay. So Syndra has to always set up like that, otherwise they can never get a kill. So it's really on Thresh to try to dodge the QE.
Boy. Now they're forcing Shelly here, but Nuggery is going to get a double knock-up. Canyon here, but the Death Realm is going to be put onto Canyon, it looks like, who's only level 5. But I'm not sure that Mordekaiser has the damage to take him down at this point, as he's just going to be taken out there after the Death Realm, his teammates leaving him to die. And this is even more of a stomp than game 1.
You know what I'm thinking of right now? I'm thinking back to when I was like 9 years old. I was in the dugout, and the coaches told us that the baseball game was going to stop because of a mercy rule.
And that's why you're an esports commentator.
And I'm just wondering if I'm going back to that right now.
Yeah. Nuggery doesn't care. Good trade 1-for-1. It's a bit of a shutdown on Jarvan, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to get plates for the Kassadin. They're going to get solo levels for the Kassadin. Beryl picks up another assist. It's only wins here, really, on the side of Damwon. And easily the most one-sided bout we've had here in this season. I mean, we haven't had a lot of fights yet, but it's
this could be
hard.
One of the most lopsided series I can recall in years.
It's a series of lopsidedness. Nice flash play. Good try, but he nearly dies as Pantheon. Pretty fun champion. Gonna survive for a really long time.
Okay.
They do get the kill onto Syndra.
This is really big for Sandbox.
Yeah, and they should be able to pick up the second kill.
Very
Nicely
big.
done.
Shutdowns.
They finally do it.
Yep.
Underneath
Managed to
that
get
turret.
a kill onto the Aphelios as well, which is really important because honestly, the only way they're coming back into this is on the back of some 200 years.
Yeah.
And that's the champion they need to have the gold right now. Mordekaiser's out of the game for basically ever. The only thing that he is right now is a Death Realm bot because he will lose to everyone 1v1 at this point, pretty much. What was that? You saw that? The Canyon shot purchase. As Nuggery taking a really big trade onto On Fleek, who actually has a level advantage, interestingly enough, over Canyon.
Yeah. Not sure exactly why. But he's down one camp. We're going to take a look at the replay here.
Mountain Drake is up, and there is the Pantheon ult. Exhaust immediately on to Syndra, and this is Damwon. I mean, they wanted to have some fun too, and they did not bear in mind that Dub still had the teleport available. Really good play by him. Root going forward, and Azir able to help out big time with the plays down in bottom. The problem though is that Mountain Drake went over to Damwon, and again, it's really problematic. Mordekaiser doesn't get pen. Jarvan doesn't get pen. Aphelios, I mean, he has his other items that he has to end up getting first, so it gets a little bit awkward that his damage is also going to get stifled. So, very, very problematic because Dub doesn't want to be getting an Oblivion Orb in this game. And so the only thing that he'll rely on is Sork Pen Boots when he ends up picking those up, but even that isn't super effective to get at this point in the game. 4 minutes until an Ocean coming up. That's going to be massive for either party that could end up getting it and trying to get themselves towards the Soul, but...
Oh, we're doing this again. He's got a nice amount of damage. I don't get the sense that he's trying to all in this one. He's getting him low, and here comes Canyon as he's going to be put in the Death Realm onto Canyon. Not sure about that one, but Summit's lane is pretty much over at this point anyway, as we're going to go for another try down on the bot side. No flash again onto Syndra as they try to ultimate and get the damage down onto On Fleek, and they will. The Showmaker makes his way over, and now they got a TP actually. Is Nuggery no ultimate, but he's frontlining here for Showmaker, and here comes Pantheon, and the dominoes fall one by one. Doesn't look like we're going to be diving root at the end of this one, but once again, more and more kills just fall easily in the laps of Damwon.
And I mean, meanwhile, Canyon was top lane, just farming. So, yeah, I mean, the Trundle is actually getting insane value while this is all transpiring. So, they go on to Pantheon, but Pantheon, pretty cool champion with that E. And makes Yasuo feel a little bit small right there. Not the end of the world, as the Pantheon ult comes in. They lock it up at 457 on the spear. Support, by the way.
He doesn't even like really need items. He has execute.
He has
and
the
his
execute and the E. So, and he has a stun. He has point and click stun. So
he's got CC tankiness, and he's got damage.
He is such a good support. He has so many pairings as well that are very, very scary. Obviously, Talia, most notable.
Yeah. What was that? Avengers?
The Avengers.
Yeah.
There it is.
I didn't watch that movie, but I've heard of the combo.
Just don't even talk. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, Damwon are really putting on a show in this one. Maybe like the Avengers. I don't know. And yeah, they're just going to rotate up to mid here. Send Showmaker into the side lane. He's got TP. It's Kassadin. He is going to just take a fun time, farm it up, hit level 16 eventually. The game might end before he hits level 16, to be honest.
Well, 1.5 minutes until that Ocean Dragon coming.
He's
oh
hunting.
Yeah, Dove just press R, yeah, and
he got
block
slowed.
and Pillar auto, and the Blast Cone is there.
Oh,
what is he doing, man?
He's staying around. He's like, maybe I can bait him. Maybe On Fleek can help me out. Showmaker's going in again. And he's just going to flash that one. I'm just watching the bottom fight. Top fight is going to be easy wins. The Showmaker says, yeah, nice Jarvan, but he's never going to get me. And Summit may be able to get a kill. He does onto the Syndra here. Now they're going to have to wait for Daddy Showmaker to come up and take the kill as he's now 5-0-5. And yeah, we're 15 minutes in the game, but it's already almost 10,000 gold. This one, guys, might just be GG.
This one is not. When is the last time? I think the last time we saw this was, I want to say Afrika, the Anivia game, versus, was it Dragon X? Afrika was blue side or red side, I believe.
Against Dragon X.
I think it was against Dragon X. Or it might have been against Damwon. Whatever Anivia's last competitive game was, as we take a, well, not last competitive, but take a look at this. And on fleek, I mean, he's tanked Jarvan, so a percent of his damage is actually magic from the Cinderhulk. And Kassadin is not who you want to be doing this. Force Pulse hits.
You see he scans to see when the ult is going to come out, and he's dead again. Oh boy, guys, this ain't pretty. There's no real way to put this lightly or to, you know, sugarcoat it here. This game is over. GG. Showmaker level 12, 6-0-5.
These are the kind of losses that you just want to sort of like depart quickly.
Yeah.
Where it feels,
it just feels bad for the losing team.
Yeah. They don't really have any insurance policies at this point.
The crud.
Root is the only, in theory, there's no real hope, honestly. I mean, Kassadin is at 2 completed core items at 17 minutes. He probably is going to have Seraph's Embrace. Oh, we're going to see it again. Yeah, it really drives the point home.
Production is a big fan of Showmaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just like dancing around him.
Yeah.
Does he even say anything?
가자!
I'm going.
내놔. 안 주면 던진다.
Let it go. Gimme. Yeah, that's what he was screaming about. Remember Pantheon? He's back.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, I mean, he maybe could have actually 1v1 the Zir.
Probably.
All things considered, which is very surprising.
Oh, they're going. Okay, well, they fought 2 of them.
Ghost is dead.
And Ghost is going to die. Root ate a bunch of damage.
So they should have let the Herald, they should have let the turret die and then let the Herald kill the mid inhibitor. That should have been what Sandbox would have done here, because that way they would funnel golden EXP into themselves.
Yeah, and they're so far behind they need
to try to stop the bleeding, pretty much. As not even sure if the so right here the Herald, it goes in, it crashes onto the turret, but they draw minion aggro. Not actually sure if the Herald would have been able to kill the turret. Maybe not.
No, I don't think so. The turret aggroed onto it, so it would have died. So in that case. So apparently what Showmaker actually said was, give it to me or I throw. Getting the translation now from G-Sun or...
Any big brothers in the chat.
Oh man, Showmaker, he is like, I am the man right now. I am the boss. You give me the kill, not the other way around. Summit, I don't think realistically has any chance here. It's against a Kassadin who can just hop around all of his abilities, so it's not a very fun matchup. Dove is going to get flashed on here. He does have Jarvan to help him with TP coming in, and Ghost is just, he's the one guy that's kind of in the punching bag, but unfortunately this time Root is going to say, nah, you know, I can't do it this time. Ghost probably begging for the kill. Snuggery's running after him. And Ghost is going to get that kill finally. So, yet another one. And you can feel the players, the game, they all know it's kind of over. It's like, it's so messy now that they're just like, both teams. Sandbox is throwing it to the wind. Damwon is just like having fun with it at this point.
Interestingly enough, this is actually why a lot of games, especially in LCK, or even when top teams can end up colliding, even at international events, sometimes games will just go very slow and it'll be a slow bleed out, is because this is usually the alternative, right? Is if you take fights while constantly down, if you try to play to mechanical edges that require you to outplay your opponents significantly in order to achieve success, then things can end up turning into a clown fiesta all the times that you roll poorly or you flip poorly. So at this point, I mean, it's an 11,000 gold lead.
Oh, does he not see him with that word?
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe he doesn't want to. No, I think maybe he didn't see him. He put a question mark ping, so it didn't look like he actually saw him with that word. Interesting.
Well, this is definitely just waiting for the inevitable end here. Zhonya's Hourglass was picked up third by the Kassadin. That'll just make it so that he can dive more efficiently. Leandre is on Syndra, a bit of a savant is Ghost, maybe.
Oh.
Something is... I'm not going to get my hopes up, I'll be honest, but...
Something's brewing over there at Damwon.
Something's brewing. Someone made an invent post or something, I'm not sure. But that is actually surprising. As looks like Pantheon's going Black Cleaver, and okay, that one I don't really like super much.
Can't win them all.
Now, he is one of the champions that stacks it extremely quickly, but the only other person dealing physical damage is Wukong, who has it himself. So you're not really amplifying any damage for Syndra or Kassadin. And then the armor values on some of the... Well, I guess actually the armor values on Jarvan and Mordekaiser is actually probably getting more pen than he would with a lethality item. It's a bit more expensive. You know what? Actually, I don't mind it. I think more about it. I'm a bit of an idiot.
All right.
It's fine.
I wouldn't call you an
take it away.
idiot. So the most idiotic people are the ones that don't realize their mistakes and own up to it, LS.
Thank you, Valdez.
A wholesome message to take away from that one. You gotta keep an open mind and realize when maybe you got off on the wrong foot. It's okay. You just take the next step on the right foot, and then you'll be just fine. As LS did.
I was doing the number crunches in my head. I'm like, actually,
yeah.
This does give more lethality as soon as he E's. So, or it'll give more pen.
Once E's.
Yeah, it'll give more pen than he can get. Plus, it gives the 20% CDR, which then converts to damage because the Q casts will come up faster, and I guess the HP is valuable given how he's going to tend to engage. So that's basically the thought process is going through my head there. Whereas if they didn't have multiple targets building armor and their armor values are somewhere between like 50 and 70, it would just be better to have Duskblade or Drakthar.
Okay, makes sense. As Summit is going to delay his death in the Death Realm. The Canyon is on the chase. He does have his flash. He's just going to hand that one over to Showmaker, who's probably asking for more kills, or he's going to throw. Let's see if he can maybe pick up the Penta. No, Nuggery is going to steal one away from him, as now Barrel's got one. How about one for each member? Can we do that now? Doesn't look like they're going to have a chance. They're just going to push mid and probably look to end this game. As Showmaker does have TP once again, looking a little bit like game number one, just a bit faster this time.
Is this the fastest series that we've ever had?
Ever? I don't know. But it's definitely close.
It is 6:20 right now. This is
That's crazy. And yeah, that's about it. GG, guys. 24 minutes. We had 24 and a half, and then we had 24. And that's going to be the end of this one here. They're not even going to delay it. They're going to show a little bit of mercy there at the end as Sandbox get ravaged here by Damwon. And that is just about it. Not much else to say. Showmaker, I think, had an incredible performance today, as did Beryl, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean, the two of them just like carried the team by themselves. Nuggery showing off a bit with his mechanics. Canyon, very stable, strong jungle performances. Ghost, he struggled a little bit in game 2, but it didn't matter all that much just because the rest of his team was just bopping him on the heads. And so that's about it. Easy win there for Damwon. Sandbox are going to have some kind of major change-up, or
well, it's,
I don't know.
you don't even want to say that it's just 2 series in a row. I mean, their spring was also looking extremely rough.
I mean, they barely got out of promotions as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, that's what
Team Dynamics got out ahead of
right.
them.
So, Sandbox is, I mean, fundamentally, they don't seem to... It's always a weird thing when you say fundamentally they don't know how to play the game, but it's actually true. Outside of Summit, the laning phases and jungler coordination, jungle pathing is... Well, that's how you lose money on stocks.
Yeah.
You know, that's not totally sure.
The graph is going down.
But also,
time to sell.
The draft approach, it's like sometimes they try to draft like DRX without the star-studded lineup that allows you to get away with that. Yes, they have Summit, but
yeah,
that's pretty much.
That's about it.
That is about it.
And even then, I mean, he was up against a really tough opponent. Nuggery was able to outplay him, not just in the lane, especially in that game 2. You remember how he came down and helped out, picked up a gank for himself, returned to top lane, got level 6 first, and was able to roll that into a lane win.
Even in mid lane, Dove, in game number 1, game number 2, his wave management, fundamentally not there, even when he was on the champion that should have autonomy on it. I mean, the Dorang's Ring start in game 2 as well, not that it mattered on the first, in fact, it actually almost helped him on the first split, having that extra HP. But it speaks to, I think, understanding of what's going on and why. Showmaker was constantly getting better recalls off on him in game 1, having better tempo, able to actually go places, still be ahead. Showmaker is one of the best mids in the world.
He's
so
rank 1 and 2 on the Korean solo queue ladder. So I think if you're able to get to that, you have to have an insane amount of knowledge about how to play the game, how to play your lane, and
mechanics.
It's obvious that, mechanics is the other thing. I mean, Showmaker's got all of that in spades, and it seems like, you know, when he first came in, we were all excited. He's kind of been wobbling a little bit, and maybe now this is his moment to really take off because, I mean, we'll have to see how he does against stronger teams. Against the top 3 is something you always mentioned, that's really the test here in the LCK right now. And we'll have to wait and see when that happens.
Interestingly enough, you know, I mean, we used to use the Elite 4 term to describe the top laners, and now it's sort of like the Hydra in top lane, but the Elite 4 is sort of like mid now, where it's Faker, Chovy, BDD, and Showmaker really as the peak of mid lane in LCK, and then everyone else is just sort of below them. So it's always a very difficult thing to try to go up against them. And we just see, I mean, even the dives are very uncoordinated, very forced. Showmaker able to arrive in this highlight. Nuggery coming in off of his win up in time, and Canyon's just getting to do whatever he wants. On Trundle this game, I did give the MVP to Beryl, just because I felt like he helped set up so many things on the Pantheon. Yes, Showmaker popped off, but if you take a look at Dove here, he turns back around to try to, I'm not totally sure. I mean, don't really know what to think.
Yeah, at that point, really not sure what was going on. Maybe he thought the Jarvan could help with the knock-up, but it's Kassadin. He can just jump right over you and take the kill. And there wasn't really much of a redeeming moment here in the second game for Sandbox. I mean, Jarvan had a couple of decent engages when Damwon got out of position, but that was about it. So we're going to listen in here.
노플
인도
할게.
네 나가
바꿀게 나. 너 이기지 건보야.
이겨 애매한데요?
그만 찔려.
그냥 무대 보자 아나
조심해 건보야.
마블레 어때요? 봐도 돼
가볼게 나도.
야 앞에.
잡았어 앞에 잡았어
나이스. 가줘.
스트레시
똥 플리.
끝나나?
미드 라인 밀면
라인
멀긴 해, 이거.
끝나겠다
라인 오긴 해.
내가 라인 지킬게
바론 갈까? 바론 갈래?
끝나 야 텔로 올게
야,
이거 궁 400, 800스택이거든 아지르 높아
아지르 궁.
궁 있어 노플이야 노플 이거 아껴 아궁 없나? 모르겠네
Azir didn't use his ult. Did he use it? I don't know.
텔 박아봐봐
갈게.
이런데
Just get him.
박아봐
박을게.
아지라 노고.
박았어.
타워.
아 이거 아지라.
끝낼 것 같아요 이거?
타워 쳐봐.
아 끝내면 어디라고?
아지라면 박을게.
끝났다. Yeah, it's over. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah. See
가주죠.
ya.
아, 잡을 수 있어.
We could have got him.
He's like, oh, what are you doing? Don't hit the Nexus. I gotta pad my KDA. What are you doing, man?
Well, that was a bit of a performance.
It's almost 1,000 damage per minute on a Kassadin on a game that ends before 25 minutes. You don't see that too often.
Yeah. Not really, not totally sure. I could definitely see Showmaker getting the MVP this game, but I gave it over to Beryl.
I mean, there was the great gank from Canyon, and
Yeah.
there was the follow-up gank from Beryl, and then
And
the follow-up
Nuggery.
gank from and then
Nuggery.
Nuggery.
It was
and
a
then
party
Beryl
mission.
came again.
It was genuinely a party mission.
And Showmaker was just there to, have good mechanics and pick up the kills. So I think it should be Beryl as well. He does pick it up. All is right in the world.
Yeah. And that is a really, really good performance by him. And honestly, I think Dove is just not very happy after that. Everyone on Damwon thought that it was Dove Chocolate in the mid lane. That's why everyone's migrating there.
Taking a little bite.
Yeah. Just wanted a little piece of the chocolate.
Chomping down. Reminds me of Charles.
Yeah.
We don't get to see him too much here. Good old Cho'Gath. Maybe someday. And yeah, he is able to follow up here. Yeah, we talked about all the things that support Pantheon has in his kit without even needing items. It's tankiness, it's execute damage, it's CC, but it's also a global and great mobility from around the map to be able to just, hop into the fight in mid or bottom, or maybe you can even rotate top to a Rift Herald play, right? There's a lot of, you can get there before another support because we all know that LCK teams they used to love all, rotating up to the top side for the Rift Herald, but he does seem pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually. We'll have to see if any other teams watch this and they say, hey, that looks pretty good. Or if they just write it off as, Damwon's a much stronger team.
Right.
But I think it is a little bit more than that. So we'll have to wait and see. But guys, we do have the interview now. It's going to be with just Beryl. Let's hand it over to Jisoo.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Season with Translation, and let's hear from Beryl, the solo POG today. First off, how do you feel right now? Well, we always had a bad start, but this time around we were able to get a win for our first match, so it feels really nice. So let's talk about your solo queue grinding. I heard that the players didn't go out during 3 months. Is that true? I mean, I'm a person that doesn't really like to go out, so I just stayed in my gaming house. Well, during those times, I guess Damwon Gaming, especially you, practiced a lot and did a lot of experiments, right? Yeah, that's true. Well, Beryl, but on the other interview, you actually said that a team is bad if support players only get the MVP, but you are the solo POG today. Well, today, I was just lucky. So what did you exactly mean with that phrase? I mean, for today, well, we got ganked, but I got really lucky to survive. And Sandbox was a little bit having a little heads up to our potential plays. So I was quite lucky today.
그리고 베린 선수에게 또 여쭤보고 싶은 게 오늘 상대가 샌드박스. 어쨌든 1패는
Your opponent was Sandbox, a team that already dropped the series.
아쉬운 부분이 있었던 건 맞거든요. 근데 그런 걸 감안하더라도
And they were quite underperforming, to be honest, but outside of that, Damwon Gaming, you guys were seriously so explosive. You guys were being really one-sided. Well, during the practice games, I mean, we always do our best and we try to enjoy it. But today, we were able to kind of convert that into competitive game as well. So we were able to show our performance that we used to have during the scrims. And Beryl, you are always the playmaker, setting everything up. So today as well, you played Maokai and Pantheon. So what was the plan on picking those champions today? Well, for the Pantheon support, well, if you look up to the OPGG, you can see that Pantheon is top on the table. So I think that Pantheon, the champion itself, is not that good, but I think I piloted it really well. Bro, being super confident over here. Did you only play League during the 3 months off season? Not really. And today, Ghost was also on fire. We could hear that he had such a high desire to beat his old team. I mean, I heard so, but during our practice, I think he forgot. But I guess it still remains in his heart. Did he mention anything about that? I saw him using the sandbox emote. Well, before the game, I saw him putting the sandbox emote, so all 4 players also followed him. So it's really amazing to see Damwon Gaming with such an improved performance, because some said Damwon Gaming's performance during MSC was not as high as people expected. How were you guys able to kind of step it up? What was your take on from the MSC? During the MSC, I think our tier list was not that accurate, and our draft was not really clean after the MSC. So our players and coaching staffs, we went back to the drawing board and got our new tier list. So we were able to be ready for the summer split. Showmaker at the mic check, he said, "Give me the kill or I will throw." And he even stole the dragon with Zoe's spell. How did the teammates react to that? I mean, Showmaker is like that whenever he plays Kassadin. We tried to give him a lot of kills in the early phase, but still, he is always super greedy. Based on this performance, the fans are so excited to see your next series. And SB also pulled off a really amazing performance yesterday. I watched their game yesterday and Seoreon won. Yeah, definitely. Just like the spring split, they were keeping this kind of explosive performance, so we have to keep ready for it. We have to be ready for it. Well, Hybrid used to be the sole ace of their team, but this time around, Miki was also popping off. So their mid and bot duo looks super strong. So, lastly, any last message for your fans? Well, we've never made the first place during the regular split, but this time around, I promise to hit the first place during the regular split. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, as always, for the wonderful translation. Great to hear from Beryl, and the amount that he has been practicing sitting in the facility for 3 months without leaving, it shows. He comes back in, picks up the player of the game, and it does seem that a lot of the players on Damwon now are really just focused on performing well here in summer, kind of using spring as a learning experience, saying, oh, we seemed a little bit confused in our drafts and our tier list on where certain champions were. So we've redone all that and we've tried to relearn everything. And they looked really good, at least in the first series. I think they have Seoreon Prince on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then they go up against Gen G on next Thursday. So that's going to be the match where I'm looking to see exactly how good is this team. Because what if they just come in and stomp Gen G? I mean, that could happen.
That is something that could happen. And I think that would be very interesting if it would end up occurring. Because obviously, this series is very impressive by Damwon, but is it a fluke or is it just sandbox or what is really going on there? I think that overall they did look pretty clean for the most part. I mean, everything was there. But, guys, we have the Bard, Chroma, and Skin giveaways right after this. We're going to take a look at the standings really quick as Damwon now in first place temporarily.
Yeah, joins...
Or, well, tied with Dynamics and Afrika. Yeah. And this is interesting. All the blue and green teams, for the most part, on the left-hand side. There was a point where it was only red teams.
Yeah, I remember T1.
Yeah.
Sandbox, KT. Who else was over there? It was like the three main
Sandbox
red
was there
teams.
at one point.
Yeah.
Once upon a time.
I mentioned them all. But it does work. But guys, we do have the giveaway, so prepare yourselves. The codes are coming out here for NA, for the Astrobard skin and champion. There they are. Make sure you take a picture of that and try to put them in really quickly. Good luck to you all. We'll see you after a massive break for Gen G up against DRX.